so I didn't really shoot any videos in the park. That's because I only had 6 hours in the park to ride all their roller coasters, so I was running around like crazy trying to get all of them. I ended up meeting up with a really cool guy named Dave in the Kingda Ka line, and we spent the rest of the day hanging out. I got every ride except 3 coasters. I did not get Great American Scream Machine, Rolling Thunder, and the Runaway Mine Train. I didn't get those. I just did not have time. I rode El Toro first. That was my first coaster as I got in the park. Wow, that was amazing. It didn't quite surpass Voyage because it's just too smooth. It's unnaturally smooth. Voyage has that out of control factor that El Toro just didn't have. It was too controlled to be absolute wooden coaster perfection like Voyage is. But I definitely put it at number 2. It's fast. It's crazy. It's not trimmed. It's great. It's a great ride. And it did surpass the Beast for me. After that, I got in line for Kingda Ka. I had seen it testing as I entered, heard the horn go off, and thought, I better run over there quick before the line gets long. 20-minute wait later, got in line for the front seat, was the third set to go into the front seat, and it broke down. People on the train had to get off. A couple minutes later, they put them back on, dispatched it. Person in front of me gets in the train, they sit there for a few minutes, they get taken back off the train, they sit there for a few minutes, put them back on the train, and they finally dispatch it. Then they put us on the train, and we sit there for a few minutes, and then they take us off the train, and then they put us back on the train, and then we finally dispatched. And to get 3 sets of people through the front seat line, it took 30 minutes. So my 20-minute wait for Kingda Ka turned into over an hour with the breakdowns. My opinions on Kingda Ka, it was not better than Top Thrill Dragster. The launch is not as intense. That is definitely for sure. It does not just, on Dragster, if you put your arms up a second past the launch, it will throw them back so hard it bruises you, and I did have a bruise as proof. Kingda Ka just doesn't, it's a smooth acceleration. It's not a quick pulse at the beginning. It's a very smooth, it's like as you're accelerating, you're kind of like, oh my god, is it ever going to end? We're still accelerating. We're still going, you know. You do feel the extra 8 miles an hour. It feels significantly faster. You don't notice the difference in height so much, but you definitely feel the increased speed. It feels much faster. I didn't get any airtime on the hill. I didn't like the fact the brakes are like as soon as you crest the hill, that kind of negates the airtime on the airtime hill. So the hill was kind of pointless to me. Other than that, Kingda Ka was great. I did ride it in the very front seat. That's the best place to ride the rocket coasters. After that, Dave and I stopped, got some lunch, and then we headed over to the opposite side of the park where we rode in very quick succession. We rode Batman the Ride, Nitro, Dark Knight, and Skull Mountain. And then we hot-footed it back across the park, hoping to catch the last couple coasters. Decided to skip Great American Scream Machine in favor of another El Toro ride, and jumped on Bizarro as our last ride of the night. Bizarro I was not impressed with. It has a very similar ride to Dominator. I thought the onboard audio actually detracted from the ride. It was loud, it was annoying. There was no pre-show to make it make sense. It was saying things like game over, your time is done, I'm coming for you. There wasn't any music, it was just a lot of like loud voices and laughing and things like that, and it was annoying. It gave me a headache. The effects on the ride itself though, like the fire, the mist, the theming, that was pretty cool. There's like a metallic cylinder through the middle of the interlocking corkscrews, so it gives a really awesome head chopper effect. The fire was wicked. Fire effects usually are, so that was really cool as you're coming down and boom, big huge flumes of fire shoot up next to you. Yeah, that was really cool. But overall, the Bizarro transformation, my impressions of the park overall were incredibly positive, very clean. I wouldn't say as clean as a Cedar Fair park, not as clean as Kings Island, but still, cleaner than Six Flags America. Cleaner than Kings Dominion even, in all honesty. The ride-ops were very enthusiastic, on par with what you would expect at Kings Island or Cedar Point. the security was everywhere. I mean, I've never seen that much security in a park. You saw security more than you saw sweeps. You saw security more than you saw ride-ups. I mean, they were everywhere, and they were washing the lines. There was at least 2 security guards in every line. You were not allowed to run. You were not allowed to go under queue rails. You know, they caught anybody leaving the line, even passing one person to get back in it. They were sent immediately to the back of the line. They were cracking down big. They did not accept any kind of line jumping. They did not accept any smoking in line. They were very strict on their rules. The announcements in the park, are way more frequent than they are in Kings Island. Every 15 minutes or so, it's announcing, no smoking, no line jumping, no spitting, no swearing, stuff like that. Which I noticed that the park atmosphere overall was, you didn't have the snotty kids. I mean, there was a ton of teenagers there, but they were well behaved, and I was impressed by that. I think a lot of that has to do with how well the park conveys their positions on things. I wish the park had been open longer. I really wish I could have gotten those last couple of credits. Makes me want to come back for another trip, of course, but El Toro will make me want to come back for another trip. It was just absolutely fantastic. And Nitro was great. It wasn't Diamondback. I mean, the airtime it wasn't Diamondback. The Hammerhead was double trimmed, actually. There was a trim and then a airtime hill, and then a trim and then the Hammerhead. So the Hammerhead had no force to it, unlike Diamondbacks. The Helix was good. It didn't have the airtime pops that Diamondback does. It just wasn't as much of an airtime machine. Batman, which is the second of the clones that I've written, really good. I mean, a good B&M inverted. I haven't met a bad one yet. I don't think a bad one exists. Very forceful. Some of the rolls through it are really good. Dark Knight was pretty cool. It was an indoor Wild Mouse coaster. The theming was well done on it. They did have a pre-show. You did, even though it was walk-on, they did show us the pre-show. They held the line until there was enough people to fill the pre-show queue. Then the interior had a lot of theming, little sound effects going off, or little things popping up of theming and stuff like that. It was done pretty well. Skull Mountain was really dark. It's just really, really dark. Fun little ride. Basically a family steel coaster inside a dark structure, and dark family coaster. What more can you say about it? I think I've hit all the coasters. Oh, Superman Ultimate Flight. How could I forget Superman Ultimate Flight? It was walk-on, so we rode it twice. We rode it once in the back seat, once in the front seat. That pretzel loop is wicked. Riding this reminds me of why I don't like the Vekomas. The B&Ms are just awesome. I hear so many people complaining about the flying position being uncomfortable. To me, I didn't even feel the restraints. They didn't dig anywhere. They didn't press in anywhere. They weren't uncomfortable. I don't know. Vekomas just are not comfortable to me. Even sitting in the pre-station brakes, when you're hanging face down, didn't bother me at all. It was a comfortable position, so it didn't bother me at all that we sat there for a minute or two while they waited to dispatch the train in front of us. You spend almost exclusively the entire ride flying, which is a big deal to me. The pretzel loop and one 0G roll are the only times you are not facing down flying. It is a flying coaster. Flying coasters should fly. Firehawk spends most of its time on its back, it feels like. So I definitely, it reiterated my position on B&M flying coasters. They're great. I loved it. Obviously I rode it twice. Did not get any flat rides in today. Just did not have time. And now I get to look forward to a 4.5 hour-ish drive home, and right now I'm at the gas station that's just outside the park. Gonna get me something to drink, and get out my map, and get myself home avoiding the tolls, because I avoided the tolls up here, and I intend to do the same thing on the way back home. So, look forward to seeing a lot of you at Coastermania. We only got, 3 days to go. Crossing my fingers that I'll be able to go to Dorney and Knoebels tomorrow. We'll just see how that works out, and I'll see you later.